Jake Morris stood at his post near the main entrance of the Grand Hall. His eyes moved across the crowd of diplomats and alien representatives. The Galactic Peace Summit had brought together hundreds of species from across known space. Jake had seen many things in his 12 years of service. But this was different. This was bigger than anything he had worked before. Commander Lisa Parker had called him into her office 3 days ago. She sat behind her desk with a serious look on her face. Jake knew that look. It meant trouble, or a difficult assignment. He had been right about both. "You are going to Harmony Point," she said. "The Zarathians requested human security personnel for the summit. Queen Valendra will attend with her daughter, Princess Silvara. You will be assigned to General Security Detail." Jake nodded. He knew about the Zarathians. Everyone did. They controlled a massive empire that stretched across 12 solar systems. Their technology was centuries ahead of human designs. Their warriors were known throughout the galaxy as fierce and skilled. They had crystalline skin that could deflect most energy weapons. They were tall, elegant, and powerful. They also thought humans were weak. Jake did not care what they thought. He had a job to do. He packed his gear and took the transport to Harmony Point. The neutral station floated in deep space. Far from any homeworld, it was built specifically for meetings like this. No weapons were allowed except for designated security personnel. The rules were strict and clear. Now Jake watched the crowds move through the hall. He wore his standard security uniform with light armor underneath. His weapon stayed holstered at his side. Other security teams from different species stood at their own positions. Most of them ignored the humans. A few gave looks of contempt. The Zarathians had arrived 2 hours ago. Jake saw them enter through the main doors. Queen Valendra moved like water, smooth and graceful. Her crystalline skin reflected the lights in patterns of blue and silver. She wore robes that marked her as royalty. Behind her walked Princess Silvara. The princess was younger than Jake expected. She looked barely into adulthood by Zarathian standards. Her skin had the same crystalline quality as her mother, but with hints of violet mixed into the blue. She moved with less confidence than the queen. Her eyes looked around the hall with obvious curiosity. Jake noted their position. He marked the exits. He counted the security personnel around them. The Zarathian guards wore armor that looked like it was grown rather than built. They carried weapons that hummed with power. They moved in perfect formation around their queen and princess. The opening ceremonies began. Species representatives took turns speaking about peace and cooperation. Jake had heard it all before. Words were easy. Action was what mattered. He kept his attention on the crowd rather than the speeches. That was when he noticed them. 3 figures moved through the crowd in a pattern that did not fit. They wore the robes of the Velok delegation. But their movements were wrong. Jake had trained to spot threats. These 3 moved with purpose. They kept their hands hidden. They positioned themselves at different points around the hall. Jake spoke into his comm unit. Possible threat. 3 individuals in Velok robes. Positions marked on your display. The response came back dismissive. "We see them. They are cleared delegates. Stand down." Jake frowned. Something was wrong. He trusted his instincts. Those instincts had kept him alive through combat situations that should have killed him. He moved slightly closer to where the Zarathian delegation sat. One of the Zarathian guards noticed him approaching. The guard stepped forward with a hand on his weapon. His eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Human, you have no business here. Move back to your position." Jake kept his voice calm and professional. "I have spotted a potential security concern." 3 individuals moving in coordinated pattern. The guard looked past Jake toward the crowd. His expression showed doubt and irritation. "We have our own security. We do not need human protection. Your kind sees threats where none exist." Jake started to respond, but the guard had already turned away. Princess Silvara had been watching the exchange. Her eyes met Jake's for a brief moment. He saw intelligence there. And something else, curiosity perhaps. Then she looked away as her mother began to speak. Queen Valendra stood to address the assembly. Her voice carried across the hall with natural authority. She spoke of cooperation between species. She talked about the strength found in diversity. She outlined proposals for new trade agreements and cultural exchanges. Jake barely heard the words. He watched the three suspicious figures. They had stopped moving. They stood at their positions in a triangle formation around the hall. Their hands remained hidden beneath their robes. This was it. Jake knew it in his bones. Something was about to happen. He moved toward the Zerathian delegation. The same guard stepped into his path again. "I told you to stay back, human." "Something is wrong," Jake said firmly. "Look at those three. Look at their positioning." The guard glanced at the figures Jake indicated. "I see nothing unusual. You are paranoid. This is a peace summit. No one would dare attack here." Jake pushed past him. The guard grabbed his arm. "You will not approach the royal family." Princess Silvara had turned at the commotion. She looked at Jake with confusion. Queen Valendra continued her speech, unaware of the situation developing behind her. Then Jake saw it. One of the figures pulled something from beneath his robes. The metal glinted in the light. It was small and compact. "A weapon. Gun," Jake shouted. He did not wait for permission. He did not care about protocol. He ran toward Princess Silvara. The Zerathian guards reacted too slowly, confused by his sudden movement. Jake crossed the distance in seconds. He saw the figure raise the weapon. He saw the barrel point toward the princess. Jake threw himself forward. He grabbed Princess Silvara and pulled her down. They hit the floor together as the first shot rang out across the hall. Chaos erupted. People screamed. Security teams rushed forward. More shots followed the first. Jake covered the princess with his body. He felt something slam into his back. His armor absorbed most of it, but pain spread through his ribs. Another impact hit his shoulder. Then another. The princess struggled beneath him. She tried to speak, but Jake held her down. He would not move until the threat was eliminated. He had one job now. Keep her alive. Nothing else mattered. More shots fired. Return fire came from security teams who had finally located the attackers. Jake heard shouting in multiple languages. His comm unit screamed with overlapping voices. He ignored it all. He stayed on top of the princess and waited. Finally, the shooting stopped. Jake's vision blurred. His shoulder burned with pain. He tried to lift himself up, but his arms would not cooperate properly. He felt hands pulling him away. Zerathian guards rolled him off the princess. He saw her face. She stared at him with wide eyes filled with shock. "Why?" she whispered. Jake tried to answer, but the words would not come. His vision darkened at the edges. He heard Queen Valendra's voice shouting commands. He heard someone say the princess was unharmed. He heard another voice say the human was badly injured. Then he heard nothing at all. Jake woke to the sound of machines beeping. His body felt heavy and distant. Pain throbbed through his shoulder and back. He tried to open his eyes, but the light was too bright. Someone noticed his movement. "He is waking up." The voice was unfamiliar, speaking in accented English. Jake forced his eyes open. White ceiling panels came into focus. Medical equipment surrounded his bed. He turned his head and saw a Zerathian standing nearby. The alien wore what looked like medical robes. His crystalline skin showed patterns of green and gold. "Where am I?" Jake managed to say. His throat felt dry and raw. "Medical facility on Harmony Point. You have been unconscious for 3 days." The Zerathian doctor moved closer to check the monitors. "You are fortunate to be alive. The injuries you sustained would have killed most species." Memories flooded back. The summit. The attack. The princess. Jake tried to sit up, but pain shot through his entire body. The doctor placed a hand on his chest, gently pushing him back down. "Do not move yet. Your body is still healing. The burns on your shoulder required extensive treatment. 3 of your ribs were cracked. You also suffered significant tissue damage to your back." "The princess," Jake said. "Is she safe?" The doctor's expression changed. Something like respect showed in his eyes. Princess Silvara is unharmed. You protected her completely. She has asked about you many times. Jake closed his eyes with relief. That was all that mattered. He had done his job. The door to the medical room opened. Commander Lisa Parker entered with 2 other human officers. She looked tired and stressed. When she saw Jake awake, some of the tension left her face. "Morris, good to see you conscious." She pulled a chair over to his bed and sat down. "We need to talk about what happened." Jake listened as she explained the situation. The attack had been carried out by a group called the Shattered Suns. They were terrorists who opposed the peace summit. 3 attackers had smuggled weapons into the hall using forged credentials. They opened fire during Queen Valendra's speech. Their primary target had been Princess Silvara. "You took 4 direct hits," Lisa said. 2 plasma shots and 2 kinetic rounds. Your armor saved your life, but just barely. If you had not been wearing it, you would have died instantly. "How many casualties?" Jake asked. 12 dead, 23 injured. It would have been much worse if security had not responded quickly. All 3 attackers were killed in the firefight. Lisa paused. "Jake, you need to understand something. What you did has created a political situation." "What do you mean?" "Queen Valendra has declared you under royal protection. According to Xerithian law, you saved her daughter's life through direct sacrifice. That creates what they call a life debt. She is refusing to let us take you back to human command." Jake stared at her. "She cannot do that. I am a human citizen. I have duties and responsibilities. She is the ruler of an empire that could crush our entire fleet without much effort. She can do whatever she wants." Lisa rubbed her face with both hands. "The diplomatic corps is having a nightmare trying to sort this out. The Xerithians are insisting you belong to the royal family now." Before Jake could respond, the door opened again. This time, Princess Silvara entered. She wore simpler robes than before, but they still marked her as royalty. 2 Xerithian guards followed her inside. They looked at Jake with expressions that were hard to read. Lisa and the other officers stood immediately. They bowed their heads in respect. Jake tried to sit up, but the pain stopped him. Princess Silvara waved her hand dismissively at the guards. "Leave us. I wish to speak with him alone." The guards looked uncertain but obeyed. Lisa gave Jake a meaningful look before she left with the others. The door closed, leaving Jake alone with the princess. She moved closer to the bed. Up close, Jake could see she was young, probably early 20s in human years. Her violet-tinged crystalline skin seemed to glow softly in the medical lighting. Her eyes were dark and intelligent. "You have questions," Jake said. "Many questions." She pulled the chair closer and sat down. "Why did you do it? You barely knew me. We had never spoken. Yet you threw yourself into danger without hesitation. Why?" Jake thought about how to answer. "It was my job. I was assigned to security. You were in danger. I did what needed to be done." That is not an answer. Many security personnel were present. None of them reacted as you did. The Xerithian guards did not see the threat until it was too late. You saw it. You acted. You sacrificed your body to protect mine. This was more than duty. "It is what humans do," Jake said simply. "When someone is in danger, especially someone young and innocent, we protect them. We do not think about it. We just act." Princess Silvara studied him with intense focus. "You are not what I expected. I was taught that humans were weak, that your short lifespans made you careless and reckless, that you lacked the discipline and honor of older species. People believe many things that are not true. Yes, I am learning this." She looked down at her hands. "You took 4 weapon strikes meant for me. The doctors say each one could have killed you. You knew this, and still you covered me with your body. In Xerithian culture, such an act creates a bond, a life debt that cannot be dismissed or ignored. I do not want anything from you or your family. That is not how it works. The debt exists whether you want it or not. My mother understands this better than anyone. She has declared you under royal protection. This means you are part of our household now. You belong to us. Jake felt frustration building. I belong to myself. I am not property. It is not about ownership. It is about honor and responsibility. You saved my life. Now we are responsible for yours. My mother will not allow you to return to danger. She has ordered the best medical treatment for you. She has assigned guards to protect you. She has made it clear that anyone who harms you will answer to her personally. I do not need protection. I am a trained security agent. You are injured and alone on a station filled with species who might wish you harm. The Shattered Suns had allies. Some of them blame you for the failure of their attack. Without our protection, you would be a target. Jake had not considered that. He had been focused on the immediate threat and had not thought about the consequences. Princess Silvara seemed to read his thoughts. You saved my life without thinking of your own safety. Now let us protect yours. It is the least we can do. The door opened before Jake could respond. Queen Valendra entered. She was taller than her daughter and moved with absolute authority. Her presence filled the room. Even lying in a medical bed, Jake felt the urge to stand and show respect. The queen looked at him with eyes that seemed to see everything. She spoke in the Zarathian language to her daughter. Princess Silvara answered back. Their conversation was brief but intense. Finally, the queen switched to English. Jake Morris. I am told you are awake and recovering well. Yes, Your Majesty. I came to thank you personally for saving my daughter's life. Words are insufficient for such gratitude, but they are all I have at this moment. She moved closer to the bed. You acted when others hesitated. You sacrificed your body to protect an alien princess you had never met. This shows character that transcends species. I was doing my job, Your Majesty. No, you did far more than your job required. A guard does his duty. A warrior shows courage. But what you did was beyond both. You showed love for life itself. You proved that honor and sacrifice are not limited to any one species. Queen Valendra placed her hand over her heart in what Jake recognized as a Zarathian gesture of deep respect. You belong to the royal family now. This is not negotiable. Your human commanders will understand in time. For now, you will remain here under our care. When you have healed, we will discuss your future. She turned to leave but stopped at the door. My daughter was right about humans. I should have listened to her curiosity instead of dismissing it. You have taught me a valuable lesson. Jake Morris. Thank you. After she left, Princess Silvara smiled at him. My mother never admits when she is wrong. You have impressed her greatly. Jake did not know what to say. His entire life had just changed in ways he could not fully understand yet. He had gone from security agent to royal ward in the space of a few seconds. He looked at the princess and saw genuine warmth in her expression. What happens now? He asked. Now you heal. Then we will see what the future holds. But know this. Jake Morris. You have allies now. Friends, who will stand with you as you stood with me. You are not alone. She stood and walked to the door. Before leaving, she looked back at him one more time. Rest well. I will visit again tomorrow. The door closed. Jake lay in the bed and stared at the ceiling. He had protected one life, and somehow changed his entire future. He did not know if this was good or bad. He only knew that nothing would ever be the same again. 2 weeks passed before Jake could stand without pain shooting through his body. The Zarathian doctors were amazed at how quickly he healed. They told him that most species would take months to recover from his injuries. Humans, it seemed, had regenerative abilities that surprised even advanced medical science. Princess Silvara visited him every day. At first, the visits were brief and formal. She would ask about his health and make polite conversation. But as the days went by, the formality faded. She began to talk about herself, her life, her fears about the future. I am supposed to rule one day, she said during one visit. She sat in the chair beside his bed while he worked through physical therapy exercises. The entire empire will look to me for leadership. But I do not feel ready. I do not feel strong enough. Jake paused his stretching. Leadership is not about feeling ready. It is about doing what needs to be done when the time comes. You sound like my mother. Your mother is wise. Silvara smiled. She speaks highly of you. She told the High Council that you showed more courage in one moment than many warriors show in a lifetime. This caused quite a disturbance. Some council members were offended that she would praise a human so highly. What did she say to that? She told them to watch the security footage of the attack. She made them see how you moved. How you recognized the threat before anyone else. How you did not hesitate. After that, no one argued. Jake finished his exercises and sat on the edge of the medical bed. He was wearing simple clothes now instead of the medical gown. The doctors said he could leave the medical facility soon. The question was where he would go. Have you thought about what you will do? Silvara asked, as if reading his mind. I do not know. Commander Parker says, Human Command wants me back. But your mother has made it clear that will not happen. I am caught between two worlds. My mother has offered you a position. Royal Guardian. You would be assigned to protect our family and serve as a liaison between humans and Zerathians. I know. She spoke to me about it yesterday. And what do you think? Jake looked out the window. Harmony Point stretched out below them. A massive station that housed thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds. He had spent his whole life serving humanity. The thought of serving an alien empire felt strange. I think it would be complicated. All important things are complicated. Silvara leaned forward. Jake, you saved my life. Whether you want to acknowledge the life debt or not, it exists. But more than that, you have shown me something important. You proved that humans are not weak. You proved that courage and honor exist across all species. My people need to see this. They need to see that we can work with humans as equals, not as inferior allies. You are asking me to be a symbol. I am asking you to be yourself. The rest will follow. Before Jake could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors outside the medical facility. Silvara jumped to her feet. Jake stood as well, ignoring the pain in his shoulder. What is happening? Silvara asked. A Zerathian guard burst through the door. Princess, we must move you to a secure location immediately. There has been a security breach. Multiple hostile contacts detected in the station. Where is my mother? The Queen is in the diplomatic wing with her security detail. We have orders to get you to safety. More guards entered. They surrounded Silvara and began moving her toward the door. She looked back at Jake. Come with us. I am not armed. I have no armor. I cannot help. I do not care. Come. Jake followed. The guards clearly did not want him there. But they would not argue with their princess. They moved through the corridors in formation. Station security personnel ran past them toward the breach points. Announcements echoed through the halls in multiple languages. All civilians were ordered to shelter in place. They reached a secure room deep in the station's core. It was designed as a safe house for important dignitaries during emergencies. Heavy doors sealed behind them. The room had reinforced walls and its own life support system. 6 guards took positions around the room. Silvara paced nervously. My mother, she said. Where is she? Is she safe? We do not have communication with the diplomatic wing, one of the guards said. All channels are jammed. This was planned and coordinated. Jake moved to the security terminal in the room. May I? The guards looked at each other. One of them nodded. Jake accessed the station's security feeds. Most were offline, but a few emergency cameras still functioned. He found footage from the diplomatic wing. What he saw made his blood run cold. Armed figures moved through the corridors. They wore military-grade armor and carried weapons designed to penetrate Zerathian defenses. They were methodically clearing rooms and fighting through station security. Their target was obvious. They were heading toward the chamber where Queen Valendra was meeting with other delegates. They are going after your mother, Jake said. Silvara rushed to the terminal. She watched the footage with growing horror. "We must help her. We must do something." "The guards with her will protect her," one of the Azarathian soldiers said. "Our duty is to keep you safe, Princess. My duty is to my mother. Your duty is to survive. If both of you die, the Empire falls into chaos. You know this." Silvara looked torn between duty and emotion. Jake understood the feeling. He had spent his life following orders and doing his duty. But sometimes, duty was not enough. "How many guards are with the Queen?" Jake asked. 4. Maybe 5. "And how many attackers?" "We count at least 12 in that section." Jake studied the layout of the diplomatic wing on the terminal. He noted positions and routes. His mind worked through tactical problems automatically. Years of training took over. "There is a maintenance corridor that connects to this section," he said, pointing at the screen. "It bypasses the main routes the attackers are using. If we move fast, we could reach the Queen before they breach her position." "We are not leaving the Princess," the guard captain said firmly. "Then leave 2 guards with her. The rest of us go. You are injured and unarmed. You would be useless." Jake looked at the guard directly. "I saved your princess's life, while your people stood confused. Do not tell me what I can or cannot do." The guard's crystalline skin darkened with anger. But before he could respond, Silvara spoke up. "He is right. My mother needs help now. Take the guards and go. Leave 2 with me. I will be safe here." "Princess, I cannot." "That is an order." The guard captain struggled with the decision. Finally, he nodded. He assigned 2 guards to stay with Silvara. The other 4 would go with him. He looked at Jake with doubt in his eyes. "Can you fight in your condition? Give me a weapon and find out." One of the guards handed Jake a sidearm. It was a Zarathian design. Heavier than human weapons but well-balanced. Jake checked the charge and the safety. Muscle memory took over. His hands moved with practiced efficiency despite the pain in his shoulder. "I will come back," Jake said to Silvara. "You better. I have not finished telling you about all your new duties." Despite the tension, Jake almost smiled. They moved out of the safe room and into the maintenance corridors. The passages were narrow and dark. Emergency lights provided just enough illumination to see. The guards moved quietly, despite their size. Jake followed, keeping pace despite his injuries. They covered the distance in minutes. The sounds of fighting grew louder as they approached the diplomatic wing. Energy weapons fired. People shouted in multiple languages. Something exploded with a deep boom that shook the walls. The guard captain signaled for them to stop. He checked around a corner carefully. Then he pulled back and spoke in a low voice. 6 hostiles between us and the Queen's position. They have not seen us yet. The Queen's guards are pinned down. If we attack now, we can catch them from behind." "What about the other 6 attackers?" Jake asked. "Unknown. Probably trying to breach the chamber from another angle. Then we need to move fast." They burst from the corridor into the main hallway. The attackers turned too late. The Zarathian guards opened fire with devastating accuracy. 3 attackers went down before they could react. The others scrambled for cover and returned fire. Jake moved to the side, using the wall for protection. He aimed carefully and fired. His shot caught an attacker in the chest plate. The armor held, but the impact knocked the figure backward. A Zarathian guard finished him with a follow-up shot. The fight was brutal and quick. The guards moved with military precision. Jake provided covering fire and tried to stay out of their way. Within 30 seconds, all 6 attackers were down. The guard captain immediately moved to the chamber door where Queen Valendra was trapped. "Your Majesty, this is Captain Drenov. We have cleared the outer corridor." "Open the door." The heavy door slid open. Queen Valendra stood inside with her remaining guards. Her robes were torn, and she had a cut on her arm. But she was alive. Her eyes widened when she saw Jake. "You should be in medical care," she said. "Your daughter was worried about you. And you left her to come here? She is safe with 2 guards in the secure room. She ordered us to come." Queen Valendra looked at Jake for a long moment. Then she turned to Captain Drenov. "Status report. We eliminated 6 hostiles in this sector. At least 6 more are unaccounted for. Station security is overwhelming the main breach points. The attack is failing. Good. Get me to my daughter. They moved back through the corridors as a group. Station security had begun restoring order. The fighting died down as the remaining attackers were captured or killed. By the time they reached the safe room, the all-clear signal had been given. Silvara ran to her mother when the door opened. They embraced tightly. Queen Valendra spoke softly to her daughter, in their own language. Then she looked at Jake over Silvara's shoulder. You came to help me even though you were injured and had every reason to stay safe. You are either very brave or very foolish. Probably both, Jake admitted. Captain Drenov tells me you fought well despite your injuries. He says you may have saved his life with your covering fire. I did what needed to be done. Queen Valendra released her daughter and walked over to Jake. She studied him with those intense eyes that seemed to see through to his soul. You have proven yourself twice now. First for my daughter, and now for me. The life debt grows deeper. You understand what this means? Not really, Your Majesty. It means you are family now. Not just a guardian or an employee. Family. Do you accept this? Jake looked at Silvara. She watched him with hope in her eyes. He looked at the guards who had fought beside him. They showed respect now instead of doubt. He looked at Queen Valendra and saw not just a ruler, but a mother grateful for her daughter's life. I accept, he said. 2 months passed in what felt like a different lifetime. Jake moved from the medical facility to quarters in the royal wing of the Zarathian embassy on Harmony Point. The room was larger than any place he had lived before. The walls were made of smooth crystalline material that glowed softly at night. He had access to facilities and resources he never imagined, but the luxury meant nothing compared to the people. Princess Silvara visited him almost daily. Their conversations grew deeper and more personal. She told him about growing up in the palace, about the pressure of being an only child with an entire empire watching her every move. She talked about her fear of disappointing her people and her mother. Jake shared his own stories. He told her about growing up on Earth, about joining the military young to escape a difficult home situation. He described the beauty of his home planet and the simple things he missed. He explained human customs and traditions that seemed strange to her. So humans give each other gifts for no reason except to show affection? She asked one day. They sat in a garden area that had been designed to simulate environments from multiple worlds. Jake recognized earth plants among the alien vegetation. Yes, birthdays, holidays, or just because someone thought of you. Giving gifts is how many humans show they care. That is different from our ways. We give gifts only for formal occasions, or to mark important events. Casual gift-giving would be seen as trying to create obligation. It is about love, not obligation. Silvara thought about this. Your species is very emotional. You make decisions based on feelings rather than logic. Sometimes. But emotions are not weakness. They are what make us human. They drive us to protect those we care about. To sacrifice for others. To create beauty and art and meaning. Is that why you protected me? Because of emotion? I protected you because it was right. The feeling came later. What feeling? Jake looked at her carefully. The feeling that maybe I was meant to be here. That maybe everything happened for a reason. Silvara smiled. It was the expression Jake had learned to value. She did not smile often. But when she did, it transformed her entire face. Queen Valendra also spent time with Jake. She invited him to meetings with her advisors, so he could learn about Zarathian politics and culture. She taught him their language, correcting his pronunciation with patient humor. She shared stories about her own youth and the challenges she faced becoming queen. My people respect strength above all else, she explained during one lesson. They value warriors and leaders who show power. For many years, I ruled through strength alone, but strength without wisdom leads to tyranny. I have tried to change this, to show that cooperation can be stronger than conquest. Is that why you support the peace summit? Yes. But many in my government disagree. They see peace as weakness. They want to expand our empire through force. The attack on the summit was not random. It was designed to make me look weak, to show that peace brings danger. But you did not change your position. No. Because I believe the future of our species depends on working with others, not dominating them. You have helped me prove this point. A human saved my daughter when Zerathian guards failed to see the threat. This shows that all species have value, that we should seek allies, not subjects. Jake understood the weight of what she was saying. He had become more than a guardian. He was a symbol of cooperation between species. The pressure of that responsibility sometimes kept him awake at night. He trained with the Zerathian royal guards to stay sharp. They were reluctant at first, but Captain Drenov insisted. The captain had changed his opinion of Jake after they fought together. Now he treated Jake with respect and even friendship. The training sessions were difficult. Zerathian combat techniques were different from human methods. They relied on strength and endurance that their crystalline biology provided. But Jake brought speed and adaptability that surprised them. He showed them human fighting styles and tactics. Soon they were learning from each other. "You move like water," Drenov said after one particularly intense sparring session. "Zerathian warriors are like stone, strong and unbreakable. But you flow around obstacles. You find weakness where we see only strength. Different is not better or worse, just different. I am beginning to understand this. My people have much to learn from humans." The peaceful routine was shattered on a morning that started like any other. Jake was having breakfast with Silvara in a private dining area when alarms began sounding. Security protocols activated immediately. Guards rushed into the room. "Princess, we must move you to safety. Queen Valendra as well. There has been a threat identified." "What kind of threat?" Silvara asked. "Intelligence reports indicate another attack is planned, this time targeting the ceremonial gathering tomorrow. We have reason to believe the attackers have inside help." Jake felt his stomach tighten. The ceremonial gathering was a major event. Queen Valendra would be present along with high-ranking officials from across the empire. Security would be tight, but if someone on the inside was compromised, it might not matter. "Where is my mother?" Silvara demanded. "In the council chamber. We are bringing her to the secure facility now." They moved quickly through the embassy. Jake stayed close to Silvara, his hand near his weapon. The guards formed a protective formation around them. They reached the secure facility just as Queen Valendra arrived with her own escort. The queen looked angry rather than frightened. "Tell me everything," she ordered the head of security. The security chief, an older Zerathian named Korvax, pulled up holographic displays. "We intercepted communications between members of the Shattered Suns and someone in the embassy staff. The gathering tomorrow is the target. They plan to use explosives hidden in the ceremony space. Have you identified the traitor?" "Not yet, Your Majesty, but we are investigating. We recommend canceling the gathering." "No. If we cancel, they win. They want us to show fear, to prove that peace makes us vulnerable. I will not give them that victory." "Mother, this is too dangerous," Silvara protested. "Everything worth doing is dangerous. We will not hide. We will attend the gathering, but we will be ready." Queen Valendra looked at Jake. "What do you think?" "What?" Jake was surprised to be asked. "Your Majesty, I think you are right not to cancel, but we need to change security procedures. If there is a traitor in the staff, they will know your regular security arrangements. We need to do something unexpected. What do you suggest?" "Let me review the gathering space and security plans. I may see something others miss." "IBE." Korvax did not look happy about this, but Queen Valendra nodded. "Do it. Captain Drenov. Assist him. I want new security arrangements by tonight." Jake spent the rest of the day studying the ceremonial hall. It was a large space with high ceilings and multiple entrances. The ceremony would involve formal processions and speeches. Queen Valendra would be exposed for long periods. He walked through the space with Drenov, looking for vulnerabilities. They found several. The ventilation system could hide explosives. The support columns provided cover for hidden attackers. The lighting rig above could be used to drop weapons or bombs. "This place is a nightmare for security," Drenov said. Then we change the layout. Move the ceremony to a different area. Tell no one except essential personnel. The traitor will prepare for the expected location. We will be somewhere else. The queen may not agree. Tradition is important to our people. Is tradition more important than her life? Drenov thought about this. I will speak with her. They presented the plan to Queen Valendra that evening. She listened carefully to their reasoning. When they finished, she was quiet for a long moment. You want me to change a ceremony that has been performed the same way for 500 years. This will anger many traditionalists. It will keep you alive, Jake said simply. Very well, make the arrangements. But tell no one outside this room until the last moment. If there is a traitor, I do not want them to have time to adjust their plans. The next day arrived with tension thick in the air. Jake barely slept. He checked and rechecked the new location. A smaller but more secure chamber in a different part of the embassy. The entrances were limited, the sight lines were clear. It was not perfect, but it was better. Guests began arriving for the gathering. They were confused by the location change but accepted it. Queen Valendra and Princess Silvara made their entrance. The ceremony began. Jake stood at his post near the side wall. His eyes constantly scanned the room. He watched the guests, the staff, the guards. Something felt wrong. His instincts screamed at him. But he could not identify the threat. Then he saw it. One of the servers moved wrong. Too purposeful. Too focused. The server's eyes locked on Queen Valendra. With an intensity that did not match someone serving drinks, Jake started moving. He crossed the room as quickly as he could without causing alarm. The server reached under their serving tray. Jake saw the glint of metal. A weapon. Gun, Jake shouted. Everything happened fast. The server pulled a blade instead of a gun. Not meant for shooting but for throwing. They hurled it at Queen Valendra with deadly accuracy. Jake threw himself forward. He crashed into the queen. Knocking her sideways, the blade missed her and hit Jake in the chest. Pain exploded through his body. He fell to the floor with the queen beneath him. Guards swarmed the attacker. More attackers revealed themselves among the guests. A coordinated assault, just as intelligence had warned, but the attackers had not expected the location change. They were off balance and unprepared. The guards fought them efficiently. Within seconds, the assault was broken. Jake lay on the floor with the blade still lodged in his chest. He could not breathe right. Blood spread across his shirt. Princess Silvara ran to him, tears streaming down her face. "Why do you keep doing this?" she cried. Queen Valendra pulled herself up. She was unhurt. She looked down at Jake with something like awe in her eyes. "Get medical here now," she commanded. Then she knelt beside Jake. "You saved me again. Twice you have taken wounds meant for my family. This debt can never be repaid." Jake tried to speak, but his lungs would not work properly. Medical personnel rushed in. They began emergency treatment right there on the floor. The last thing Jake saw before losing consciousness was Silvara's face above him, her tears falling on his cheeks. Everything went dark. Jake woke to pain that felt familiar. His chest burned. Breathing hurt. But he was alive. Again. He opened his eyes slowly and saw white ceiling panels. Medical equipment beeped steadily around him. He had been here before. He is awake. The voice belonged to the same Zarathian doctor who had treated him after the first attack. The doctor moved into his field of vision. "You are making a habit of this, Jake Morris. This is becoming concerning." "How bad?" Jake managed to say. His throat was dry. "The blade punctured your lung and cracked 2 ribs. You lost significant blood. But your human biology continues to amaze us. You are healing faster than expected. You should be dead, yet here you are, awake and talking. Lucky. I do not think luck has anything to do with it. You seem determined to survive no matter what." The doctor checked the monitors. "You have visitors who have been waiting for you to wake. Should I allow them in?" Jake nodded. The doctor left, and moments later, Princess Silvara entered. She looked tired. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. She had been crying. When she saw Jake awake, relief flooded her face. "You are an idiot," she said, but her voice was gentle. "I have been told that before." She sat in the chair beside his bed. "You almost died. Again. The blade came within millimeters of your heart. The doctor said if it had gone any deeper, nothing could have saved you. But it did not go deeper. That is not the point. You keep throwing yourself in front of weapons. You keep taking hits meant for my family. When will you understand that your life has value too?" Jake looked at her carefully. "I do understand. But your life and your mother's life have value to billions of people across your empire. My life has value to a few friends and colleagues. The math is simple. That is the most human thing I have ever heard you say." Silvara reached out and took his hand. Her crystalline skin felt cool against his. "You do not calculate worth by numbers. You see a person in danger, and you act. This is why my mother has made her decision." "What decision?" "You will see. She is coming." The door opened and Queen Valendra entered. She wore formal robes of state. Behind her walked several high-ranking Zerathians that Jake recognized from council meetings. This was official business. Jake tried to sit up, but the pain stopped him. "Stay as you are," Queen Valendra said. "You have earned the right to rest." She moved to the foot of his bed. The other Zerathians arranged themselves in formal positions. This was a ceremony of some kind. Jake felt nervous, without understanding why. "Jake Morris," the Queen began, her voice taking on a formal tone. "3 months ago, you saved my daughter's life by taking weapons fire meant for her. 1 month ago, you fought beside my guards to protect me. Yesterday, you took a blade to the chest that would have killed me. These are not the actions of a simple guardian. These are the actions of family." She paused, letting her words sink in. "In Zerathian culture, the life debt you have created is unprecedented. No warrior in our history has sacrificed so much for our royal family. The High Council has met. We have debated and discussed, and we have reached a unanimous decision." One of the council members stepped forward holding a crystalline tablet. He began reading from it in the Zerathian language. Queen Valendra translated for Jake. "By the ancient laws of our people, by the bonds of blood and honor, by the debt that can never be fully repaid, we declare Jake Morris to be adopted into the royal bloodline. From this day forward, he shall be recognized as kin to Queen Valendra and Princess Silvara. He shall hold the title of Royal Guardian and Honorary Prince. He shall have all rights and protections afforded to members of the royal family." Jake stared at them in shock. "Your Majesty, I cannot accept this. I am human. I do not belong in your royal line. You belong where you have proven yourself to belong. You have shown loyalty beyond question, courage beyond measure, honor beyond species. These are the qualities that define royalty in our culture, not birth or blood, but character and action. But the political implications have been considered. This will anger some. It will inspire others. It will change things across the galaxy. But that is precisely why we must do it. You represent a bridge between our species. A proof that humans and Zerathians can be more than allies. We can be family." Princess Silvara squeezed his hand. "Say yes, Jake. Please. You have given us so much. Let us give you something in return. Let us give you a home." Jake looked at the faces around him. Queen Valendra watched him with determination and something that looked like affection. The council members showed respect in their expressions. Silvara looked at him with hope and genuine care. These people had become important to him over the past months. They were not just assignments or duties anymore. "I accept," he said quietly. Queen Valendra smiled. It was the first time Jake had seen her truly smile. "Then it is done. When you have recovered, we will hold a formal ceremony, but the adoption is legal and binding as of this moment. You are part of our family now." The council members bowed to Jake. It felt strange and overwhelming. They filed out of the room, leaving only the Queen and her daughter. Valendra sat in another chair, her formal posture relaxing slightly. "You understand what this means," she said. "You will have responsibilities beyond security. You will be expected to attend ceremonies and councils. You will represent both humans and Zerathians. You will be a target for those who oppose cooperation between our species. I understand. Good. Because I have plans for you. The Peace Summit must continue. The work of building alliances must go forward. I want you to help lead this effort. Your perspective is valuable. Your experience fighting beside both humans and Zerathians gives you unique insight. I am not a diplomat. No. You are something better. You are proof that different species can work together, that they can trust each other, fight for each other, die for each other if necessary. This is more powerful than any treaty or agreement. Over the next weeks, Jake recovered again. His human biology continued to impress the Zerathian doctors. They studied him extensively, trying to understand how humans could survive injuries that killed most other species. Jake endured the tests with patience. News of his adoption spread across the galaxy. Reactions were mixed. Some species praised Queen Valendra's progressive decision. Others criticized it as political theater. Human Command was shocked but eventually supportive. Commander Lisa Parker visited Jake to congratulate him. "You have managed to do something extraordinary," she said. "You have become a symbol of human-alien cooperation. Whether you wanted it or not. I never wanted to be a symbol. I just wanted to do my job. And by doing your job better than anyone expected, you became something more. Embrace it, Jake. Use this position to make real change. God knows the galaxy needs it." The formal adoption ceremony was held 2 months after the attack. It took place on the Zerathian homeworld, in the royal palace. Jake traveled there on a royal ship with Silvara and her mother. It was his first time seeing an alien planet. The Zerathian homeworld was beautiful. Crystal formations jutted from the ground like frozen waves. Cities built from grown structures rather than constructed ones. The sky held 3 moons that cast multiple shadows. Jake felt like he had stepped into a dream. The palace was magnificent. Halls made of crystalline material that refracted light into rainbows. Gardens that grew plants from dozens of worlds. Rooms large enough to hold hundreds of people. Jake was given quarters in the royal wing, near Silvara's own rooms. The ceremony was attended by thousands. Representatives from across the Zerathian Empire came to witness the unprecedented event. Human diplomats attended as well, including Commander Parker. Jake wore formal robes designed specifically for him, blending human and Zerathian styles. He walked into the Great Hall, to the sound of ceremonial music. Queen Valendra stood at the center on a raised platform. Princess Silvara stood beside her. Jake approached and knelt before them, as he had been instructed. Queen Valendra spoke in the Zerathian language. Her words were broadcast throughout the hall and across the empire. She recounted Jake's actions, the sacrifices he made, the courage he showed. Then she placed her hand on his head in a gesture of blessing and adoption. "Rise, Jake Morris. Rise, as Prince of the Zerathian Empire. Rise, as Royal Guardian. Rise, as family." Jake stood. The hall erupted in response. Some cheered. Some remained silent. But all witnessed. The Queen presented him with a ceremonial blade, its handle wrapped in materials from both Earth and the Zerathian homeworld. A symbol of 2 worlds joined. After the ceremony, there was a feast. Jake met dozens of important Zerathians. Some were friendly, others were cold, but all treated him with the respect owed to royalty. It was overwhelming and strange. Late in the evening, Jake found himself on a balcony overlooking the crystal gardens. He needed air and quiet. Princess Silvara found him there. "Are you overwhelmed?" she asked. "Completely." She laughed. "You will get used to it." Eventually, they stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the 3 moons rise over the palace. Finally, Silvara spoke again. "Thank you, Jake, for everything, for saving my life, for saving my mother, for accepting our family. You do not need to thank me." "Yes, I do. You changed everything. You showed my people that humans are not weak. You showed that cooperation is strength. You gave me hope for the future. These are gifts beyond measure. Jake thought about his life before the summit. The routine of security work. The loneliness of always being the professional. Never letting anyone close. Now, he had a family. A purpose beyond just surviving. A chance to make real difference in the galaxy. I should thank you, he said. You and your mother gave me something I did not know I needed. A place to belong. Silvara smiled and looked up at the stars. This is just the beginning, Jake. We have so much work to do. So many species to bring together. So many old hatreds to overcome. It will not be easy. Nothing worth doing is easy. Spoken like a true Zerathian. You are already one of us. They returned to the feast together. Jake saw Queen Valendra watching them from across the hall. She nodded to him with approval and pride. He nodded back. Over the following months, Jake settled into his new role. He worked with Zerathian advisors to strengthen ties with humanity. He attended councils and offered perspective that others lacked. He trained guards and security forces. He continued to protect the royal family, though now as family himself rather than just an employee. The attacks had been traced back to a faction within the Zerathian government that opposed peace. They were arrested and tried. Their conspiracy was exposed. Queen Valendra used the incident to push for reform. She argued that the old ways of conquest and domination were failing. The future belonged to cooperation and alliance. Not everyone agreed. But her position was stronger now. She had proof that working with other species brought benefits. Jake was that proof. A human who saved Zerathian lives. A human who became Zerathian royalty. A human who showed that honor and courage had no species. On the anniversary of the first attack, Jake stood with Queen Valendra and Princess Silvara at a memorial service. They honored those who died in both attacks. They spoke of the cost of peace and the value of sacrifice. Afterward, in a private moment, Queen Valendra spoke to Jake alone. Do you ever regret it? Accepting our claim on you? Jake thought about the question seriously. No. I found something here I never had before. Purpose, family, home, good. Because we need you. Not just as a guardian, but as a voice for change. The galaxy is watching what we do here. Your presence sends a message. That different species can stand together. That they can become family. God, I will do my best to honor that. You already have. Simply by being who you are. Jake looked out over the palace grounds. He could see both Zerathian guards and human security personnel working together at checkpoints. Training together. Learning from each other. Small changes, but meaningful ones. He thought about the moment he threw himself over Princess Silvara to protect her. He had not thought about consequences. He had just acted. That single moment of instinct had changed his entire life. Had changed relationships between species. Had proven that some things transcended biology and culture. Some bonds were stronger than any difference. Princess Silvara joined them on the balcony. She stood between Jake and her mother, looking out at the same view. 3 people from different backgrounds. Bound together by loyalty and love. What are you thinking about? Silvara asked Jake. About how one moment can change everything. About how protecting one person can lead to protecting millions. Do you think we can succeed? Can we really bring peace to the galaxy? I think we can try. And trying is what matters. Queen Valendra placed a hand on both their shoulders. We will try together. As family. As partners. As proof that the future belongs to those willing to sacrifice for each other, rather than dominate each other. They stood together as the sun set over the crystal gardens, 3 figures silhouetted against the light. A queen. A princess. And a human who had proven himself worthy of standing beside them. The future was uncertain and dangerous, but they would face it together, and that made all the difference.